Ladies and gentlemen, every single one of you in this room has said those words before. Trust the process. You've whispered them when life punched you in the face. You've muttered them when your plans didn't go as expected. But the truth is, most people don't actually trust the process. They tolerate it. They endure it. They survive it, barely. And that's the difference between winners and everyone else. Trusting the process isn't a slogan. It's not a quote for Instagram. It's a neurological rewiring of how you interpret pain, failure, and time. It's an act of war against your brain's addiction to comfort and instant gratification. And I'm here to tell you, scientifically and brutally honestly, that most of you are losing that war every single day. Let's break this down, not as a motivational slogan, but as a biological reality. You see, your brain was not built for greatness. It was built for survival. For 200,000 years, your nervous system has been trained to do one thing above all else: avoid pain and conserve energy. Every time you step into discomfort, every time you face uncertainty, your brain sounds the alarm: danger, retreat, stop. That's not your weakness talking. That's your wiring. But here's the problem. Your biology hasn't updated to match your ambition. You're living in a world where comfort is everywhere. Air conditioning, fast food, digital dopamine hits every few seconds. And yet you still expect to perform like a gladiator. Impossible. You can't live soft and expect to win hard. When I say trust the process, I'm talking about something that violates the very instincts of your nervous system. It means committing to repetition, to boredom, to long stretches of invisible effort, without applause, without proof, without validation. And neuroscience shows that's precisely what rewires the brain. The prefrontal cortex, the seat of decision-making and discipline, only strengthens when it's forced to override emotion, when it says no to the limbic system's craving for immediate reward. Think about that. Your discipline, your patience, your long-term vision, they're not character traits, they're neural adaptations. They're the muscle fibers of your mind. And like any muscle, they grow under resistance. You don't build neural strength by feeling good. You build it by showing up when you feel like quitting. That's what trusting the process truly means. It's not faith in some vague cosmic plan. It's faith in the brutal mathematics of cause and effect. Let me give you a story. Years ago, I worked with a young entrepreneur. Brilliant kid, but impatient as hell. He wanted to make his first million in 6 months. He had the skills, the vision, the fire. But he couldn't stand the grind. Every obstacle was a sign that maybe he wasn't meant for it. Every delay was the universe testing him. You know the type. So I sat him down and said, the universe isn't testing you, it's just indifferent. You're not that special. The process is the same for everyone. The question is, will you outlast the pain long enough for your results to compound? Fast forward 3 years. He went through multiple failures, lost money, lost friends, lost confidence, but he never quit. He learned to sit in silence while everyone else bragged about progress. He learned to work without applause. And when it finally broke through, when the dam of effort cracked, everything that had been invisible suddenly became undeniable. That's how exponential growth looks from the inside. It feels like nothing is happening until everything happens at once. Well, that's what your brain struggles to accept, the nonlinear nature of success. You put in months, maybe years of effort, and the results are microscopic. Your brain says, this isn't working. That's dopamine withdrawal talking. You're addicted to visible feedback. You need to feel progress. But in the real world, in business, health, mastery, progress is invisible long before it's visible. The process is invisible long before it's rewarding. And here's the twist most people never grasp. The process doesn't just build results, it builds you. The reason you trust it is because you become worthy of the outcome through it. Every repetition of patience, every act of discipline, every moment you endure without external reward, it's not wasted time, it's neuroplasticity in action. You're rewiring your brain to operate at a higher threshold of resilience. Let's go deeper. In neuroscience, we talk about prediction error. It's the gap between what you expect and what reality delivers. Every time your expectations are violated, your brain experiences discomfort. That discomfort is the birthplace of adaptation. It's your neurons recalibrating, your identity shifting. But most people run from it. They call it failure. I call it transformation in disguise. Trusting the process means living inside that discomfort until your nervous system normalizes it, until your fear becomes fuel, until your anxiety becomes data, until your doubt becomes drive. That's what separates people who evolve from people who escape. Let's look at nature for proof. Bamboo, for instance, spends its first 5 years growing underground. You water it, you care for it, you see absolutely nothing. Then, in a matter of weeks, it shoots up 80 feet. Why? Because the root system, the foundation, had to be built before visible growth could happen. Human development is the same. The roots are invisible, the progress is subterranean. And the tragedy is most people quit watering before the growth ever breaks the surface. When you understand that, you stop asking, why is it taking so long, and start asking, how strong am I becoming while it takes this long? Because time isn't the enemy, it's the filter. Time exposes who actually believes and who just pretends. In high-performance psychology, we often measure something called delay discounting, the tendency to devalue rewards that take time. The weaker your ability to delay gratification, the faster you chase shortcuts, the faster you break down under pressure. But here's the beauty. You can train this. You can literally rewire your brain to become addicted to the process instead of the reward. When you learn to fall in love with discipline, with structure, with the daily repetition that no one claps for, that's when your destiny starts bending toward inevitability. There's a reason elite athletes repeat drills thousands of times. There's a reason soldiers rehearse until it's reflex. The brain learns through repetition, not motivation. Motivation fades, but myelin, the fatty sheath that wraps your neural circuits, thickens every time you repeat a skill. That's what mastery is. It's a biological proof that consistency beats emotion. I remember working with a marathon runner recovering from a severe injury. She was told she'd never compete again. Her process wasn't glamorous. It was pain, ice baths, microagmas, physical therapy, weeks of nothing but small incremental steps. But she showed up every day. No audience, no fanfare, just her and the grind. 12 months later, she not only ran again, she won. When I asked her what kept her going, she said, I stopped asking when it would get easier. I started asking how I could get stronger while it's still hard. That's the mindset of someone who trusts the process. They don't negotiate with reality, they adapt to it. They don't need constant validation, they generate momentum through discipline. They don't wait for certainty, they create it by acting consistently through uncertainty. The truth is, you cannot fake trust in the process. Life exposes it, business exposes it, relationships expose it. When things don't move fast enough, when nobody believes in you, when your progress is invisible, your reaction reveals everything. And the weak blame the process, the strong refine it. So let me ask you, what kind of person are you? Are you the one who gives up when the timeline gets longer than you expected, or the one who doubles down because you know compounding takes time? Every empire, every body transformation, every mental evolution was built brick by brick, unseen, uncelebrated, until one day it looked overnight. The overnight success is a lie. It's just a long process that finally became visible. The only difference between those who make it and those who don't is that the winners stayed long enough to see the invisible become real. That's what trust really means. It's not passive. It's not sitting back and hoping. It's active, relentless, patient aggression. It's saying, I don't know how long this will take, but I'm not going anywhere until it's done. That's the energy that bends probability. And the irony, the moment you stop needing instant results, the moment you detach from outcomes and attach to execution, that's when results start showing up faster than ever. Because now your attention isn't fragmented by anxiety, it's focused. And focused energy compounds. When your energy is focused, your perception changes. You stop seeing every challenge as punishment, and you start seeing it as feedback. Neuroscientifically, this is called cognitive reappraisal, the ability to reinterpret stress in a way that empowers you. When you train your brain to see pain as progress, struggle as signal, and resistance as raw material, you stop fearing the process. You start feeding off it. That shift is everything. Because if you can stay calm in the face of chaos, your prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that makes decisions, plans, and controls impulses, stays online. But when you panic, when you doubt, when you start emotionally overreacting, your limbic system hijacks you. It shuts down rational thought. It floods your body with cortisol. Suddenly, you're no longer thinking strategically, you're surviving emotionally. And survival mode kills progress. You can't build an empire while your brain is fighting to survive the day. You can't stay disciplined if every setback feels like a personal insult. Trusting the process is about training your brain to operate in chaos without collapsing. It's about building neurological immunity to uncertainty. The same way you build muscle through micro tears, you build emotional strength through micro failures. Each one teaching your nervous system, I can handle more. I've seen this countless times with elite performers, CEOs, athletes, military operators. The common denominator isn't talent. It's composure under prolonged uncertainty. It's their ability to delay emotional gratification and remain ruthlessly consistent while everyone else loses faith. That's the psychology of the apex performer. They've trained their nervous systems not to crave comfort, but to crave control over themselves. Let's get brutally real for a second. Most of you here today don't fail because you lack potential. You fail because you keep interrupting your process every time it gets uncomfortable. You start something, you grind for a few weeks, then you don't see results, so you pivot, you doubt, you look for new methods, new shortcuts. You rebrand your failure as strategic change. No, it's just mental weakness disguised as intellect. You broke faith with the process. Science proves that progress follows a logarithmic curve. That means results are slow, almost invisible at the start, then accelerate rapidly after a threshold is crossed. But here's the painful truth. 90% of people quit before that threshold. They never make it to the acceleration phase because they lack the patience to stay long enough in the valley of frustration. That valley is where champions are forged. That's where your tolerance for boredom, pain, and uncertainty decides your destiny. I've worked with entrepreneurs who stayed in that valley for years, pouring everything they had into their businesses while everyone told them to quit. They were called delusional. But they trusted their preparation more than they feared people's opinions. That's faith, not blind faith, but earned faith. It's not faith built from repetition, logic, and scars. One of them once told me, the process never lied to me. I lied to myself about how fast it should happen. That hit me hard, because that's all of us at some point. We expect nature to move at the speed of our emotions, but nature doesn't care about your timeline. It moves at the speed of cause and effect. You can't rush the harvest. You can only keep planting seeds until the season shifts. You know who else understands this better than anyone? Neurosurgeons. The ones who spend years mastering precision under pressure. They spend a decade just learning not to shake under a scalpel. They trust the process of refinement, millimeter by millimeter, because they know that mastery is nothing but repeated precision under pressure. You can't hack that. You can't speed it up with willpower or motivation. You earn it through ritual and repetition. Motivation is temporary. Process is eternal. Motivation dies the moment conditions change. The process endures through every condition because it's built into your system. It becomes who you are. That's why I tell people, stop chasing motivation and start building rituals. Rituals are process in motion. They're non-negotiable. They bypass emotion. When the alarm goes off, you move. When the plan says execute, you don't debate it, you do it. This is how you eliminate the single biggest threat to your success, decision fatigue. Every time you debate whether to act, you burn mental energy. Your willpower drains. But when your process is systematized, when it's no longer up for discussion, you conserve energy for what truly matters, execution. That's what process does. It automates excellence. Let's talk about the dark side of trusting the process, because it's not all motivational sunshine. Trusting the process means living through seasons of invisibility, doubt, and rejection. It means outgrowing people who can't see what you're building. It means waking up every day to no applause and still acting like you're already there. That's psychological warfare against your own insecurity. People will mock you, misunderstand you, and mislabel your patience as passivity. But you must never let the noise of the impatient drown out the silence of your discipline. The process is lonely because it separates those who talk about goals from those who become them. I remember a neuroscientist I studied under years ago, brilliant man. Spent over a decade researching a protein involved in memory formation. For 10 years, his experiments failed to produce significant data. 10 years of rejection, dead ends, and academic skepticism. But he stayed the course. He trusted the process. And on the 11th year, his work revealed a breakthrough that changed the entire field of neuroplasticity. A decade of silence, 1 year of legacy. That's the ratio most people never accept. If you can't handle being unseen for years, you don't deserve to be celebrated for a lifetime. That's how nature works. The universe hides greatness behind delay. It hides mastery behind repetition. It hides fulfillment behind frustration to see if you really want it. And let's talk biology again for a moment. Dopamine, the chemical of reward, isn't about pleasure. It's about pursuit. When you attach dopamine to the chase instead of the trophy, you win twice. Because you enjoy the process itself, and when the reward finally arrives, it's amplified by years of anticipation. But when you attach dopamine only to results, you live in a constant loop of disappointment. Because results are rare, effort is daily. Train your brain to get high off the daily execution, not the outcome. That's how you hack motivation sustainably. It's not about forcing yourself, it's about rewiring the feedback loop so effort itself feels rewarding. That's why process-oriented people seem so calm while everyone else burns out. They've learned to feed on consistency. Now, I want to challenge you with something deeper. Trust in the process isn't just about success, it's about identity. Every time you stick with something longer than your emotions want to, you prove to your brain who's in charge. You reinforce the identity of someone who finishes what they start. And identity drives behavior far more powerfully than willpower ever could. Most people try to change their actions without changing their self-concept. They say, I want to be more disciplined, but still see themselves as lazy. That's like running a marathon while dragging a version of yourself that doesn't believe it can finish. You have to decide who you are before you act like it. That's how trust in the process becomes trust in yourself. And here's the paradox. You'll only truly trust the process once you've experienced its pain. Because once you've been through enough uncertainty, enough nights wondering if it's worth it, and still kept going, you'll realize that the process was never betraying you. It was building you. Every delay was preparation. Every obstacle was conditioning. Every failure was recalibration. The brain learns through repetition and reflection. Every time you survive something you thought would break you, your subconscious recalibrates what's possible. That's why adversity is a requirement, not a punishment. The process isn't trying to destroy you, it's trying to develop you. You must let it. So when I say trust the process, I'm not telling you to surrender to fate, I'm telling you to surrender to growth. To accept that the path will change you before it rewards you. To understand that who you're becoming is far more important than what you're achieving. Because if you become the kind of person who can't be broken by the weight, the result becomes inevitable. And ladies and gentlemen, your nervous system is built for comfort, but your soul is built for conquest. And between those two forces lies the battlefield of process. You will be tempted to quit. You will question your timeline. You will envy others who seem to move faster. But the day you stop measuring time and start measuring transformation, everything changes. You'll stop asking, when will it happen? And start declaring, it's happening because I'm still becoming. That's when life starts working for you instead of against you. Because now you're aligned with how growth actually happens. Incrementally, invisibly, and inevitably. When you finally begin to live this truth, when you stop fighting the timeline and start mastering your response to it, you realize that trusting the process was never about waiting. It was about working with conviction while waiting. It was about holding your composure when nothing made sense. It was about building the kind of emotional armor that makes you unstoppable, not because you feel invincible, but because you act consistently despite not feeling ready. You see, consistency is not a personality trait. It's a spiritual discipline. It's the daily act of declaring, I may not control the outcome, but I damn sure control my effort. That kind of clarity removes anxiety from your life. Anxiety thrives in the gap between what you can control and what you can't. The process closes that gap. It focuses you on the one thing that has always been yours: execution. Trusting the process is the highest form of humility. It's saying, I don't know everything, but I know this. My discipline will get me there. It's surrendering your ego's obsession with control and embracing nature's rhythm, incremental, patient, unforgiving, but fair. Nature rewards the consistent, not the impulsive. It doesn't care how passionate you are on day one, it cares how persistent you are on day 1,000. I want you to think about that for a second. Passion is a spark. Process is the oxygen. Without process, your passion burns out, but with it, that same fire becomes a forge. It refines you, purifies you, strengthens you. And here's the truth very few will tell you. The process isn't pretty. It's not cinematic. It's brutal repetition, painful silence, and years of invisible work. But that's why so few people ever see what it produces. The process is not designed to please you, it's designed to prepare you. It strips you of impatience, ego, and illusion until the only thing left is the raw version of you capable of handling what you ask for. Because success without the process will destroy you. We've all seen it. The athlete who skyrockets to fame before they've built the character to sustain it. The entrepreneur who wins fast, then collapses because they skip the foundation. That's what happens when you chase the reward and skip the refinement. Your process is your purification. It's the fire that burns off everything weak, undisciplined, or unworthy within you. And the moment you stop resisting that fire, you start rising through it. That's when your brain, your body, and your spirit begin to operate as one. You stop wasting energy on doubt and start using it for direction. You stop chasing quick wins and start building permanence. And here's the paradox that defines every great achiever. They don't trust the process because it feels good. They trust it because it hurts. They know the pain is proof of progress. That's the deep science of neuroplasticity. Your brain literally changes through challenge. Each moment of discomfort triggers adaptation. Each stretch of patience strengthens your circuitry. Pain is the process signaling growth. I've seen people run from that pain all their lives, and they end up running in circles. The comfort zone becomes a coffin that buries their potential alive. The very process they avoided becomes the regret that haunts them later, because deep down, every human being knows when they've cheated their own evolution. You can lie to others, you can fake effort on social media, but your nervous system knows the truth. It knows when you gave up early. It records that as weakness, and weakness compounds just like strength does. But the good news, so does discipline. Every time you show up, even when it hurts, even when it's invisible, you're strengthening the architecture of your future self. You're programming resilience into your DNA. That's not metaphor, it's measurable. Studies show that consistent acts of self-control physically reshape the brain's reward system. You become someone who thrives on effort, not ease. That's why trusting the process eventually becomes second nature. It's not blind faith anymore, it's earned confidence. You've seen what happens when you persist. You've experienced the miracle of small efforts compounding. You've felt what it's like to go through hell and realize it didn't kill you, it built you. That kind of self-trust can't be bought, taught, or borrowed. It's forged through repetition, failure, and endurance. So yes, the process tests you, it humiliates you, it stretches you, but it also proves you, gives you evidence of your own strength. And the moment you realize that, when you finally see that all the pain had a purpose, you'll stop needing motivation altogether. You'll stop needing external validation because you'll understand the process was never happening to you. It was happening for you. You'll start to appreciate every setback as training, every delay as direction, every detour as design. You'll understand that growth doesn't happen when you want it. It happens when you've earned it. The universe isn't denying you, it's preparing you for the scale of what you asked for. Because if you can't handle patience, you'll never handle power. Let me give you one last story. Years ago, I met a man who had been training to climb Mount Everest. 7 years of preparation, altitude training, strength, conditioning, mental drills. And the first time he tried, he failed. Got caught in a storm near the summit and almost died. Everyone told him to stop. He didn't. He spent the next 2 years retraining, stronger, smarter, slower, and on his second attempt, he made it. When I asked him what changed, he said something that stayed with me ever since. The first time, I wanted to conquer the mountain. The second time, I let the mountain teach me how to climb. That's the process. It humbles you until you're teachable. It breaks your illusions until you become adaptable. It replaces arrogance with awareness. You stop demanding results and start earning them. You stop performing and start transforming. And when you finally reach the summit, whatever your Everest is, you'll look back and realize that the climb changed you far more than the view ever could. That's the secret the world doesn't tell you. The reward is temporary, but the evolution is permanent. The goal was never the goal. The process was. Ladies and gentlemen, if there's one truth I want you to walk away with today, it's this. Every moment you doubt the process, remember, it's doubting you right back. It's asking, will you stay when it's not working? Will you believe when no one claps? Will you keep pushing when the ground gives no feedback? Because the process is not testing your skill. It's testing your character. And if you pass that test, there's no force on earth that can stop what's coming. So stop rushing. Stop questioning every season. Stop looking for shortcuts. Play the long game. Do the work no one sees. Hold the line when everyone else quits. Build your foundation in silence. Because when the process finally rewards you, and it will do so. Loudly, undeniably, and forever. When it does, you'll realize something extraordinary. You didn't just trust the process, you became it. Is when you become unstoppable.